Welcome to Three Count Commentaries. This is your host, MagMongoSlade. Today we're going to talk about Monday Night Raw from March the 28th, 2022. Let's be honest and upfront, there is not much they could have done on this show to make you more or less excited for WrestleMania. When it comes to WrestleMania week, if you're still on the fence about the show, pretty much forget about it. You know, it's like, if you're still like, you have to sell me on WrestleMania and it's, you know, the last week up to the event, it's pretty much over with. If you're not into it at this point, then you're just not into it. Because they really weren't trying to get new people on this show. And they likely won't be trying to get new people on SmackDown either. It's all about hyping up the show for the people who are already interested and already in it. They've done what they could in terms of reaching outside of their audience, normal audience, in order to get attention. They did a little bit on this show for that, but the whole Logan Paul, Johnny Knoxville stuff was the most they was going to do when it comes to reaching out outside of their normal audience. So the news and notes, let's talk about that. First news, the Steiner brothers in the WWE Hall of Fame. Absolutely, this rules. This rules for so many reasons. Not only because the Steiners are fantastic, and they truly are Hall of Famers and one of my favorite teams outside of the Road Warriors. A physical team, physical marvels who could do incredible things. They had fantastic matches. They had good matches with the Nasty Boys, and I hate the Nasty Boys. Right? They were mostly a WCW team. Their WWF run did not last very long. It also wasn't the best showing of the Steiners. But a lot of what we remember from the Steiners comes from their WWF run. That's kind of how it is. Like, you know, the WWF, you know, even when guys don't stay there that long, they leave an indelible mark on them, you know, so a lot of what we know from the Steiners, you know, I guess the Michigan jackets. I think they started wearing the Michigan jackets in WWF. I don't remember them wearing them in WCW. I might be wrong though, because I haven't seen everything they did in WCW. But I don't remember them wearing the Michigan jackets. I think they started wearing them in WWF. But the Steiner brothers, do I even have to sell you on Rick and Scott Steiner? I shouldn't have to. I kind of figured this was going to happen when Brian Breaker kind of started breaking through on NXT. I kind of figured, okay, finally the Steiner brothers are going to get their recognition in the Hall of Fame, hopefully. And it's going to happen. So, of course, this led everybody to talk about the inevitable, the ticking time bomb of Scott Steiner live microphone at the Hall of Fame. And my, oh my, I cannot wait. To be quite honest, man, and I'm going to be honest with you, I usually skip the Hall of Fame speeches. I mean, I love the event. I think it's great. But sometimes I just don't want to sit through the speeches. So sometimes I'll just go back and I'll watch an individual speech that I want to hear. Like I may go back and watch, you know, Jake Roberts or Scott Hall or somebody like that. But I say it's going to be a bunch of people. There's always going to be people that's going to be introduced in the Hall of Fame that I'm not interested in. There's also going to be the Warrior Award that, even though it's nice, I don't really want to sit through that, you know, and there's going to be other things I just don't want to sit through. And it's just me being honest. I just don't care enough about it. But I fully had intended on listening to Undertaker's Hall of Fame speech and Vince's induction of him. And I was not really going to listen to the Vader speech, and I had no interest in the Sharmell one. But this Steiner Brothers speech, please believe I am going to be there with bells on if Scott Steiner shows up with a live microphone. I will be there with bells on. I will be jingling and jangling up and down this motherfucker. You hear me? I will be right there when it occurs. I can't wait. Now, at first, everybody who saw this said the same thing, like, man, Scott Steiner, he's going to go off. And he's going to have so many reasons. Hulk Hogan, Triple H, he's going to have so many reasons. Ric Flair, he's going to have so many reasons to go off. And then I thought about it. I was like, you know what they could do? They could induct Rick, and he can accept on Scott's behalf. So is it a thing where they're going to introduce the Steiner brothers, quote unquote, but only Rick shows up and Scott doesn't actually show up? Could that be the case? And something tells me they're not going to do that. That if they want to introduce the Steiner brothers have to be there, and therefore Rick will likely have to put a leash on Scott. Scotty, I think, has gotten mellow as he's gotten older. So hopefully his heat with Triple H and everything is over with, and Steiner can go back to, back to the fold where he belongs as a hilarious character. He needs to go into a Hall of Fame by himself too, Scott Steiner. He's tremendous. I don't see why not. It's a different world than a few years ago where he was dissing the Hall of Fame. Again, they all do it. A lot of them. Bruno Sammartino at one point didn't want to be in the Hall of Fame. The Honky Tonk Man has said no before. A bunch of people have done it. They don't want to do it. They either say it's not enough. Some people have said it's not enough money, or, yada, yada, yada. Whatever the case may be. I think Scotty has kind of mellowed out, hopefully. It's still going to be funny for him to have a live microphone, but I think he's probably mellowed out a little bit in his older age. I think he's over the age of 50 now. So, I still am very, very interested in the Steiner brothers getting their moment in the sun. I'm 100% down for that. It's going to be funny as hell. I cannot wait. And I heard that Sid was going to get entered in the Hall of Fame. If he's the last one, I'm definitely going to watch it because Sid is awesome. So hopefully we get Sid, Undertaker, Vader, and the Steiner brothers all in the Hall of Fame at the same time. It'd be one of the greatest Hall of Fame classes of all time, with only blemish being Sharmell. And you can get away with Sharmell if you give me Undertaker, Sid, and the Steiner brothers, and Vader. I'll let you have Sharmell at that point. I'll let you sneak Sharmell past the goal line if we get those guys into the Hall of Fame at the same time. But I'm thinking that's it, because WrestleMania is this Saturday and Sunday, and the Hall of Fame, I don't know how long it's supposed to be, but there was a bunch of other people that were mentioned that was supposed to go into the Hall of Fame. That some people got the scoops, but apparently none of that stuff was actually announced. So, but there's still SmackDown. So, they might announce one more person for SmackDown. And they also might do some Legacy Wing stuff. So, they haven't announced anything for the Legacy Wing yet. So, we'll see. And I don't think they actually announced a celebrity either. I don't think they did a celebrity either. So, we'll see. We'll see what they do with the Hall of Fame. But right now, I'm very excited to see for the Steiners, Vader, and Undertaker. I'm really, really dope for that. All right, so let's get into Raw. I'm gonna try not to linger too much on things that are unpleasantness, because again, if you're not into the show now, you're probably not gonna get there. So Brock says that he came out there and he kind of played with the audience. The audience was whatting people all night. Brock says you can play along, you can what, and he actually did the cadence so they can say what. He said that he's going to tell Roman his game plan. And his game plan is to take a trip to Suplex City, down Beast Broadway. And then he said that their titles are going to get married and he's going to get full custody. And that got a pretty good pop. At the way he put that. The crowd popped on it. So Brock was in rare form. I was just saying on Twitter how him and Randy Orton have done a complete 180 in terms of being the saltiest dudes outside the ring and in the ring. Traditionally heel characters, traditionally, asshole guys who constantly were saying stuff that would piss people off and upsetting people and make people think that they either didn't like the business or they had no passion. And now they're like perfect baby kissing faces. These dudes are tremendous. Like Randy Orton's giving dap to children, and Brock is like telling the audience to play along to his whats. You know, he's taking, you know, friendly little digs at Stone Cold Steve Austin about how Steve Austin didn't kick his ass, even though Steve Austin did kick his ass at WrestleMania 20. But you know, this was fun. You know, this was a fun promo. So then Roman cuts his promo later, and Roman's promo is a little bit more meaty than Brock's, because Roman rooted his promo in what he feels is his most embarrassing moment, which was WrestleMania 34 and his defeat at the hands of Brock Lesnar. And he says that he has done everything. And Seth beat Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania, and that pisses him off. Then he said that WrestleMania 34 in New Orleans, or he says WrestleMania in New Orleans, because they've eliminated numbers for some reason. And he talked about being bloody and being beaten bloody. And he says his wife didn't want him in the business anymore. And his father doubted him. And he says because of this, he's got to take everything from Brock. He already took Paul. And in Madison Square Garden, he took Brock's blood. Now he's going to take Brock's title. And that he's going to make it personal. Because for him, it's been personal. And to me, this was very good. It tied up their history very, very well. This is the third Brock Lesnar Roman Reigns WrestleMania main event. And the first one was interrupted by Seth Rollins and the cash in. So nobody won, but Roman actually lost, if I remember correctly. He's the one who got pinned. The second one, Roman lost. And I think, you know, people were surprised that he lost. Because they have so much emphasis on getting him there. And then they cut the legs off from underneath. And this is when Brock threw the belt at Vince. And Roman was beaten bloody. And now Roman is like, okay, I want this guy again. And this time, I'm going to get it right. And it seems to me that it is almost a mirror of the Stone Cold Steve Austin Rock storyline. Obviously, Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Rock went a little bit differently, where Steve Austin won the first two matches and lost the third. In this one, Brock didn't win the first one, but he did win the second one. So they're kind of 1-1-1. You know, if Roman was to win at WrestleMania, which I believe he will, they'll be 1-1-1 against each other at WrestleMania. I know that they've had other matches in other places, and Roman has beaten him, and you know, that sort of thing. But WrestleMania is different. It's a different canon. It means more at WrestleMania. So I'm very interested in this. I'm also very interested in where Roman goes after this. And I guess we should talk about Roman. We should be very clear. The red sweatsuit, dynamite. It was a dynamite look. The red sweatsuit, I really dug it. I really dug the red sweatsuit. Also really dug the him saying that he was going to smash everybody for whatting him. So I'm pretty sure some of those chicks and probably some of those dudes, we know how, you know, some people are on in this world are probably all about smash me, Roman, smash me, please. But Brock and Roman, really fun stuff. They've been carrying the hell out of this show. You know, they've been doing the absolute most in making their match matter. And only one other feud is working just as hard as they are. And we'll be talking about them in a second. But Brock and Roman really have dug their heels in on this thing and made their angle work. You know, and with Roman tying this into WrestleMania 34 finally, which is what it should have been from the beginning. Brock should have been talking about WrestleMania 34 when he beat Roman, bloodied him, embarrassed him in front of his family. That should have been it from the beginning. You know, them tacking it on at the end. To me, it feels like they were trying to, he's got to say something. It's like, why not lean into your lore? This is the thing that it really bothers me so much about WWE. Is back in the past, they lean so, like, for them to lean so heavily on nostalgia, like Stone Cold Steve Austin or The Rock or Goldberg or whatever, You can say they lean on nostalgia all the time, but they don't really lean on the history of the characters that they fucking created. What's the point of making a character if you don't lean onto the character's history? That's what the character exists for. The reason why people buy Batman comics and continue to get into Batman or Spider-Man or whatever is because it got all these years of history that you can tell new stories and bend and twist, and you can dig into the stories of the past and bring up new stuff. Like, when they created the Red Hood, not created, but they reformed the Red Hood as, the dead Robin is brought back as the Red Hood. That was somebody who said, hey, go back into Batman's canon, find, Jason Todd, who was murdered by the Joker. We're going to resurrect him as a Batman villain. Like, that's fucking cool. And somebody thought to do that, it's the kind of stuff you should be doing, and you can do it in wrestling, especially in WWE. You might not be able to do it in Impact. You might not be able to do it in AEW because they don't have enough history. Well, Impact does, but because they have 20 years of history. But you have this with WWE where you have this entire canon of characters, and these characters have interacted with other characters and they've done things. It would make perfect sense for you to lean into that a lot heavily, especially if you're selling the back catalog too, because the back catalog is the network. You should be pushing people towards WrestleMania 34. Hey, you should go watch WrestleMania 34. The match that flipped Roman's lid, made him really want to be this way. Go watch that, and then you will understand WrestleMania 38 a lot more. It's not the same thing as, what other companies are trying to do, where they kind of use other companies' lore and stuff like that, and have you chasing YouTube clips and all kinds of shit. All of this in one central place. Now, I'm not saying they should do that all the time to make it to the point where the new audience can't possibly understand it. It's still a completely new storyline. With the head of the table versus Cowboy Brock. It's still a different storyline. But there still needs to be a sense of, we've done this dance before. This is how it went before, but this is why it's different now. That's how you keep things fresh and you keep things moving along. To that point, the concept of, Cody being Seth Rollins' opponent, I'm like, the story is right there for Randy Orton. They have history already. Why are we trying to force some shit with him and Seth where there's no beef between the two of them? That's just me though. I'm like, it's a ready-made story for Randy, because that was the angle that we seem to have really been working right before Cody left and right before he came Stardust, But we'll talk about that stuff when we get there. So I really like that WrestleMania 34 was folded into this. Hopefully WrestleMania 31, if I remember correctly, is when Brock and Roman wrestled and Seth Rollins cashed in. That was 31. Hopefully they bring that in too. So that would be nice. Talk about both of them being the only two guys to beat Undertaker at WrestleMania. Again, build it as much as you can. Use the names of the people that, are around. Let's do it. Build that shit. Ain't nothing wrong with it. It's your own fucking canon at this point. All right. First match, Rey Mysterio defeats The Miz with a very, very sloppy sunset flip. It looks like shit, by the way. The Miz talked about his personal favorite mask of Rey Mysterio. It was the one that he took. And it says that he took the mask. That's like he's going to take all the respect he feels like he's earned. Then he introduced us to Lucha Logan, which is Logan Paul wearing a Rey Mysterio mask. And it was absolutely obnoxious. And it did just enough to trend on Twitter, because he was running around with his mask on and doing cartwheels and shit. It was pretty funny. So the Mysterios run out there. Dominic attacks The Miz while Rey is chasing Logan Paul outside the ring. The referee notices that Dominic Mysterio is being an absolute shithead and tosses him out. And just says he completely ejects him. Logan Paul stays away from Rey so he can stay out there. A little bit of a lopsided decision, but ultimately the right one because Dominic was attacking a guy. Miz ended up still losing because who cares if the Miz loses? After the match, Dominic attacked Logan Paul, threw him in the ring. He was about to get a 619, but the Miz saved him. Then the Miz got left alone. Logan Paul just didn't help the Miz. He got a double 619, 2 frog splashes, and then the Mysterio snatched their mask back from Logan Paul. So the Miz got beat up again. The Miz has zero credibility, and that's pretty much how Miz works. He has no physical credibility whatsoever. It's all about him being crafty and conniving. If you get the Miz in a physical fight, probably you win 98% of the time. I don't remember the Miz ever out fighting anybody. It's just not in his character to do so. So this didn't really bother me too much. They're still making people pay to see, or making you wait for the Logan Paul gets a 619, which is, that's the big spot that we're building to, is Logan Paul getting a 619. So maybe Logan Paul will take the pin in this match. Hopefully he does, Hopefully it's not by Dominic, but it probably will be. I love Rey Mysterio. That's my dude. Rey Mysterio is the only wrestler I don't complain when it comes to cosplaying. Rey can cosplay whatever he wants. He's one of the GOATs. All right, so the Seth friggin' Rollins Vince McMahon WrestleMania video. So they start by showing I did watch the Twitter thing when I was at work. I watched it. But it was better on Raw because they added that extra bit of storytelling that goes back several weeks with Rollins being desperate and trying to steal other people's spots. And then they showed the montage of all these different guys saying, we're going to WrestleMania. I challenge you to WrestleMania. I'll see you at WrestleMania. And then Seth Rollins just kind of looking bugged out like, everybody except me. So the long and the short of this thing is that Seth Rollins showed up far too early for this interview. They made him wait damn near 2 hours. And he was getting real nutty in there. Then he got back into character to shimmy into Vince's office. There was a WWF guitar in there too, which is pretty cool. He's in there being really obnoxious and thinks Vince is going to fire him, suspend him, tell him he's got to go home or something. But Vince just asked him a simple question. Why didn't you just come to me? Why'd you go through all this unnecessary? Why did you come through all these unnecessary hoops? Just come to me. And Seth Rollins was like, okie dokie, whatever. So Vince says that I can't have a stupendous WrestleMania without Seth freaking Rollins. Well, he said he could, but he doesn't want to. So Seth is in, and Seth is excited, but wasn't told who his opponent was going to be. Seth then asks who his opponent is going to be, and Vince says that Seth will know who his opponent is when he is in the ring and his opponent is introduced. So Seth doesn't care. He's just glad he's got a WrestleMania match. He's surfing on Vince's desk. He has been super obnoxious. And everybody believes it's going to be Cody. But then there are the people out there, the fringe element, who are saying it's entirely possible that it's somebody other than Cody. And I want to entertain that for a moment. Because that's where I live. I live for that. I live for the broken hearts of everybody who thinks that it's going to be Cody and it turns out to be literally somebody else. There are some people who are absolutely trolling. Oh, it's probably going to be whatever the revamped Elias is going to be. No, it's not. It's not going to be Veer. It's not going to be the revamped Elias. No, it's not going to be a Hornswoggle or nothing stupid like that. No. Will it be Bill Goldberg? I think if you got a betting card, I wouldn't have the highest odds on it being Bill Goldberg, but it wouldn't be off the scale. Some people have said Shane McMahon. I think that if it's not Cody, it's more likely to be Shane McMahon. And I saw Shane McMahon trending on Twitter for this very reason, that he seems to be the guy that everybody thinks is going to be now. Everybody was sure it was going to be Cody until Vince got involved. Now everybody's like, it's got to be Shane. It's got to be Shane. I wouldn't be mad if it was Shane. I know a lot of people would be, but I wouldn't be, because the last time Shane had a one-on-one match at WrestleMania, outside of that bullshit with Braun Strowman, I'm sorry, that was absolute garbage, was his storyline with AJ Styles. And that was fun. They went out there and had a banger of a match between the two of them, and it was good. So no doubt I believe that Shane could probably have a good match with Seth Rollins. I believe in it. You know, I'm a Shane in the ring believer. You know, as long as the story makes sense, Shane can get it done in the ring. So, but everybody wants Cody. I think that they're kind of boxed into the corner of delivering Cody. The only way that you can get away with it is if you deliver somebody bigger than Cody. And this is where some people have said it could quite possibly be The Undertaker. And Undertaker has said that he was done. He's not doing it again. He's got nothing left. And if they do have Undertaker versus Seth Rollins, it's going to be just like Cena and Undertaker, where Seth Rollins doesn't get any offense. He just gets chokeslam, tombstone, and that's it. And I don't want that for Seth. You know, that would suck. You know, like it would have been fine a couple of years ago. But nah, that sucks. Seth Rollins is one of your top guys. You just can't have Undertaker go in there and squash him. Same thing. That's why it can't be Goldberg. Now, I think Undertaker is a great, you know, obviously, but it wouldn't be much of a surprise because we already know he's going to be in the building. You know, so I don't think it'll be Undertaker. I don't think it'll be Kane. You know, oh God, I hope it wouldn't be Kane. What could it be? The Fiend? Could it be Bray Wyatt? Could it be? And think about this, because again, if you think about the narratives, the Bray Wyatt is the reason we even got this version of Seth Rollins. You know, because he was the one who turned Seth Rollins heel in the first place when he did the hurt heel glove on him during, I believe, their Hell in a Cell match that everybody hated so much that they blamed it all on Seth Rollins. So that created the Monday Night Messiah, which gave rise to the Visionary, the Revolutionary, the Jokerized Riddler, Seth Rollins. So he was the one who turned Seth Rollins heel in the first place. So could it be the Fiend? I wouldn't bet my money on it, but I think that if it's the Fiend, people will be okay with that. You know, yes, they want Cody. Everybody would like for it to be Cody. But if it's the Fiend, I don't think people will be too upset. If it's Undertaker, there's going to be a little bit of because Undertaker hasn't been gone that long. You know, if it's Shane McMahon, I think it's going to be mostly negative. Anybody that you would consider to be under Shane McMahon, people would be like, nah, man, we ain't rocking with this. You know, if it was Kurt Angle or something like that, I think people would be really into it. You know, if it's Kurt Angle versus Seth Rollins, I think that would fucking rule. That would be great, you know, and I wouldn't care if people were mad or not. I would be down for that. But I think the safe bet is that it will be Cody, you know, and it's going to be Cody versus Seth Rollins in a match with no storyline. You know, just Vince McMahon brought me here for reasons. And then it'll be like Vince has two hand-picked guys. He's got Austin Theory and he's got whoever's going to fight Seth Rollins. And I'm okay with that. Vince should have his hands all over this thing, since we know he's the puppet master pulling the strings anyway, right? So I'm guessing, put my money on it being Cody. All right, so the next thing, Amos, he wrestled the Viking Raiders, and I was instantly cringing because the Viking Raiders lost by count out. They didn't look good. They looked like shit. There's no point in complaining about it. The Viking Raiders aren't going anywhere. Amos then said there's nobody that can stand up to him, that he's undefeated, and he's going to dominate anyone. Then our boy Lashley made his debut. God damn. He made his re-debut. He was gone for about 6 weeks, and now Lashley is here. He stands up to Big Amos, And he looks noticeably weird because he's wearing like that weird elbow pad. That weird one elbow pad. It looked like he just woke up. like he just woke him up. Like, Bob, go out there. Clearly he doesn't look like he's in WrestleMania shape. You know, he might be coming back a little too early. He might be pushing himself a little bit. But Lashley stands up to Omos. The crowd is absolutely in for it. You know, Lashley's a babyface. They love it. You know, Omos manhandles Bobby Lashley, mushing him in the face, throwing him across the ring. Lashley tries to knock Omos down. It doesn't work. You know, then he gets a running start and actually bowls Omos over. Omos takes a bump, rolls out of the ring, and is like, you want the smoke, huh? You want the blah. I'm like, oh boy, he's really fired up. So Lashley owns the ring by being the first person to knock Omos down. And you know what? I hate to say it, but I'm down for this, man. I'm down for it. I think that little tease they gave us, what was this, months ago when Lashley was the champion? I think that was enough. I think that told everybody that's the direction we should be going in for WrestleMania. And I don't think this match will be long. I don't think they're going to give Lashley too much time to go out there and re-injure himself. The question is, who wins? You know, if Omos beats him, Omos has to go for the title, right? Because he beat Lashley. He got to go for the title. But if Lashley beats Omos, Lashley still has to go for the title. Because he beat Omos. He beat, the unstoppable monster. So we got us some real intrigue here. And this is a big match. Omos is a green dude. He's not very good. He needs a manager of some kind. I think MVP comes back and joins Omos. And he's the one that's going to take Omos from this point forward. And just because Lashley needs something for the future, and reforming the Hurt Business around Omos or something like that would probably be very, very interesting. That's just me spitballing ideas. I don't mind this match, though. It feels thrown together, but I don't mind it because we know that it's based off of their stare down from several months ago. The 24/7 nuptials. Seems that both 24/7 cliques, Reggie and Dana and Tamina and Tozawa, are getting married. And R-Truth has an idea. So obviously R-Truth is probably going to be the pastor and going to take that opportunity to roll up somebody and steal a pen. But I have no interest in the 24/7 gang. I laugh at them because they're silly as shit. But I honestly, I hate it. All right. So, Naomi, Sasha Banks, Liv Morgan, and Rhea Ripley defeated Natalya, Shayna Baszler, Carmella, and Zelina Vega, as Rhea Ripley pins Zelina Vega with the Riptide. Carmella once again bailed on her partner, and Corey Graves was consoling Carmella. I am sick to death of this. I am sick of this. This whole Carmella and Corey Graves thing, everything that involves the Carmella is absolute cringe. And it's pissing me off because they waited until she was holding a fucking belt. And now is Zelina doing all these goddamn jobs. She ain't done nothing but lose the last 2 or 3 weeks. And it's all because Carmella keeps leaving and going outside the ring. It's like, how many times do you really do that before? It's not a storyline. It's just somebody is stupid. It's like, you only got one time to bail on me, man, before we really have like real legitimate problems. This is like the 5th time that Carmella has sort of bailed on Zelina. This is nonsense. Repetition. I get that repetition is how people learn. That's how you get the story over. It's like you keep doing it. But you can't keep doing it to the degree that they're doing it. Where it's every week where Zelina just looks like an absolute fool. Every single week that she's buddy-buddy with Carmella, and then something happens and Carmella leaves the ring. She leaves ringside or whatever. But we just can't keep doing this. It's stupid. I hope this shit is over soon. I hope they just fucking lose. I don't care who they lose it to, as long as it's not Natalya. As long as it's not Natalya. I don't care who else they lose it to. They could lose it to, I was about to say blow-up dolls. Maybe not blow-up dolls. I guess Sasha and Naomi. I guess. But because I think Rhea Ripley is, I don't know if I want her as a tag team champion again, but whatever. I need this to be over, because I hate everything about this Zelina Vega Carmella tag team, and it's pissing me off. They did a Stone Cold video package, a bit of a tribute, which was nice. I saw a lot of people complaining about all the video packages on this show. Again, Stone Cold Steve Austin, they're trying to reintroduce him to a new audience. I know some people are going to be like, Stone Cold Steve Austin, one of the more famous wrestlers of all time. Not really. He hasn't wrestled in 20 years, man. Think about everything that has occurred in 20 years. If you're 22 years old, what do you know about Stone Cold Steve Austin? If you're 25, you were a small child at the height of Steve Austin. You don't really remember that. That would be like me saying I remember when Bob Backlund was the WWF champion. I don't. Okay, I don't. I don't remember that at all. So that sort of thing is what it is. So Kevin Owens cut his promo, and he talked about the angels of the video editing team made Stone Cold Steve Austin look great, but felt like his tribute was better. And then he played into the what chant. I think this was a pretty good use of the what chant. He used it to repeat what he was saying in his promo by saying that Stone Cold Steve Austin is a liar. And he's like, what? A liar? What? They're lying. And says that Stone Cold Steve Austin's been gone 19 years. What? 19 years? What? 19 years? He said Steve is coming back, not Stone Cold. And that Steve is the guy who rides around his ranch on his ATV begging people to come on his podcast. He's bored. Says that Stone Cold Steve Austin still talks a big game because he has to. But at WrestleMania, he's going to pass the torch to him, and then he hates beer. He's going to pour beer all over Stone Cold Steve Austin. I was like, man, they are not talking about a talking segment at all. They should have just gone, and it really didn't occur to me until I started watching my WrestleMania marathon, which everybody does. I got up to WrestleMania 29 before I had to go to work. But the Hollywood Backlot Brawl, Goldust and Roddy Piper. We were told it was going to be a fight. We were not told it was going to be a match. It was going to be a fight. And that's what we went into it. I remember being a kid. I didn't think it was going to be a wrestling match. I didn't think people were going to get pinned. It was called a brawl. I expected a brawl. What I got was a brawl. Why are we saying it's a KO show? If they're not going to do an interview segment. It might be, my fear is that they're going to try to make it an interview segment and it's going to turn into a fight when all they're talking about right now is fighting. So something tells me they really should just call it the KO Brawl or something like that. Or, just something. Something where a Dallas street fight or a Dallas, brawl, bar fight or whatever. Something to make it sound like there's going to be physicality, and it's not going to be a talking segment. But my worst fear is this is going to be a 15-minute segment, and it's going to be 10 of it is talking, and then the next 5 minutes are going to be them slugging each other back and forth in the middle of the ring before Kevin Owens takes his stunner. And I think it would have been better off if we'd have just said Stone Cold Steve Austin is coming to, to deal with this Kevin Owens thing because he keeps talking all this shit, and he's just going to kick his ass. And you could even say it was going to be a collision, a confrontation, or whatever, and they're going to meet each other at WrestleMania. But having it be packaged into this KO show is giving people the wrong idea. It's not about to be an interview segment. Or if they do sit down and do an interview segment, it's going to piss people off because they're going to be like, okay, get to the fight. We've been talking about fighting for 4 fucking weeks. Let's get to the fight. Nobody wants to sit here and ask you how your neck feel, and all that other horse shit. All right, let's go on to Ricochet, the Intercontinental Champion, loses to Austin Theory, clean as a whistle. Look, man, the reason Austin Theory has defeated the United States champion, he's also defeated the Intercontinental champion. That's why neither one of these titles are featured on WrestleMania. They don't care about them. You know, you might as well throw these fucking belts in the trash. You know, it is. Finn Balor recently in an interview said that he's not sure that the money is good enough for him to be away from home anymore. And he talked about all the stuff that he's missing. And he's 40 years old now. The guy can't possibly be doing this for money anymore. You know, he's done all there is to do in Japan. And it seems like he hit a ceiling in WWE too. You mean to tell me they're going to keep this guy away from his family all these many months and stick him with a mid-card belt and then not even put him on WrestleMania at all? He's not even going to get on the show at all. What the fuck is he even there for? You know, like, I'll be questioning, like, what am I here for? You know, like, I'm missing all of this stuff. I don't really need the money, but damn, you could at least be positioning me correctly. You know? And if you're Ricochet, they just gave you this fucking belt not too long ago. And now they're just kind of like, oh yeah, go do a job for these two Hispanic dudes. Like, what? Oh yeah, go do a job for Austin Theory. What? What the fuck was the point of giving me this belt then? Why do I have this thing? So you have to ask the question, why are these guys even still in this position? You know, it seems very, very weird to me that, you know, these guys apparently just, you know, they just take it on the chin, you know? And the reason I mentioned Finn Balor is because you would think a guy like him with his, you know, his stature, and definitely Ricochet could definitely go to AEW immediately and become, you know, a top guy for them. They is salivating and waiting on Ricochet. The hell, same thing for Finn Balor. They're waiting on both of those guys. What the fuck are they sitting in WWE doing? Except getting older. They have no future, apparently. You know, Ricochet finally gets something. And it's shit on. He's losing more now than he did before. It is absolutely embarrassing. Like I said, I didn't want to linger too much on this negative shit, especially since they're not going to be at the show anyway. But this is embarrassing, dog. And they're just embarrassing Ricochet at this point. And this is really sad. He's the Intercontinental Champion for no fucking reason. And people are talking about, oh, Nakamura's the worst Intercontinental Champion of all time. Like, really? Really? You still think so? So Bianca Belair. So this is pretty good. Bianca Belair came out there. She played pop psychology on Becky Lynch, saying that she threatens Becky Lynch's whole existence. That's why Becky Lynch has been running her mouth and trashing her name, and that's why Becky Lynch does what she does. And she says she's back like she never left, and that this thing has been going on for too long, and that Becky Lynch during this time has done everything she can do, everything to try to stop it. And there's not a damn thing she can do because she's going to take that Raw Women's title at WrestleMania. So Becky Lynch attacked her from behind. They get into a little bit of a scuffle. Becky kind of wins the scuffle. And then we see that Becky Lynch did not do everything that she can do because she ain't cut Bianca Belair's hair yet. So she tied Bianca Belair's hair around her arm. And she's prepared to cut the braid. Then Bianca Belair kind of woke up, hit her with the KOD. Beautiful spot. Nice little tease with Becky Lynch. Threatening to cut the braid. Then she got KOD'd again. And then while she was down, Bianca Belair saw the scissors and decided she was going to cut Becky's hair. So then she starts to cut Becky's hair. This is what made it funny. All right, so there's referees and there's all kind of staff out there. And they're just kind of standing around like, what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? Like, grab her arms. Like grab her arms, grab her wrists. She's chopping this girl's hair up. So Bex is pissed at this point. She is very upset. She's muttering to herself that, you know, she's going to end Bianca's career. And then later she called her a bitch. This is fantastic. These two chicks are the only ones on the entire WrestleMania card, other than Brock and Roman, that are putting every single thing they can into this feud. They're simply putting everything into this feud. And this is also the only other storyline that was beginning to be built at SummerSlam. This storyline began at SummerSlam. Brock and Roman began at SummerSlam. So they have done a good job of linking SummerSlam to WrestleMania. And the two biggest feuds are the two feuds that started at SummerSlam. These are, in effect, the two main events of WrestleMania. Becky Lynch and Bianca Belair have done a tremendous job. They have been doing fantastic stuff. You know, the crowd was very tired by this point. You know, because there was a lot of video packages, there was a lot of promos, there weren't a lot of matches. So the crowd was pretty tired at this point. It was kind of like, oh, another video package, oh, another promo. I wasn't a fan of Bianca Belair smiling at the early part of her promo, but that's just kind of what WWE does. It makes everybody smile. I saw a clip of Bianca Belair. She was outside the ring playing rock, paper, scissors with the kids during commercials. I thought that was cute. But I'm thinking that Becky Lynch will probably cut Bianca Belair's braid at WrestleMania. I think it probably will happen. To give her a WrestleMania moment, she'll probably cut Bianca's braid there. It'll be Titan Towers or whatever they call it now, WWE HQ. They gonna need a bomb squad. Somebody's gonna want to blow that whole building up the moment they do it. It is a bad idea for them to do it, and they keep teasing it. They won't leave it. They won't let it go. They won't leave it alone. You know, they better off not doing it. But something tells me they eventually are going to do it, and it is not going to work. I'm telling you, it's going to piss people off. They better off leaving it alone. But they have shown that there's, you know, more motivation than ever for Becky to kick the ass of Bianca Belair. Bianca Belair got one up on Becky again, which normally, you know, would mean that Bianca's going to lose at WrestleMania. That's, you know, booking 101 is whoever it looks strong going into the go home is the one who loses. So it's entirely possible that Becky could win this match, even though I think it's kind of stupid if she does. Even if she cuts Bianca's hair, she kind of has to lose still. But this feud is great. It's got everything, man. So it's doing good. They're doing really good, man. This Becky and Bianca thing is dope. All right, so Happy Corbin and Madcap Moss versus Drew McIntyre. Oh boy. So Corbin is not thrilled with Moss and his jokes now. You know, Moss is not tickling the funny bone of Happy Corbin anymore. So he walked off on Madcap Moss during this match. It's a handicap match. And McIntyre, of course, just beats Madcap Moss because why wouldn't he? He's already beaten this guy fucking 40 times. Then after the match, Corbin attacked Drew McIntyre, beat him up, hit him with the end of days, and then stole his sword. I would have liked for him to shatter the sword. You know, that's really what I would have preferred. Like, I don't see why we can't just go there and break it. You know, I think Jinder Mahal tried to break it, didn't he? You know, he should have just smashed it on some stairs or something like that. Just broke the sword. Therefore, we don't have to worry about it anymore. You can always get another one made or something, but you know, I think you could have added some heat to that feud. That could have been the only way you could have done it. I just don't think there's enough people that care about Corbin versus McIntyre. This is a popcorn match. There's people going to concession stands to buy t-shirts. Nobody cares about this fucking match, man. You know, people are not into Happy Corbin. You know, it's just not. People did like Damian Priest, but you didn't want to put him on the show. You wanted to put fucking Happy Corbin on the show. Whatever. Edge and AJ Styles, they're both doing very good stuff. Edge cut a promo and says that he was tempted to give Seth Rollins another beating, something that he actually deserved. But he and AJ need each other. That AJ needed him to shake off that veil of mediocrity he's wrapped himself in for the last year. And Edge needed AJ to prove that he is the benchmark of the WWE. And he says that, Sunday, they're going to end decades of them running parallel to one another, like ships in the night, each collecting championships and becoming big stars. They're finally going to collide. And then he says this is going to be a match of the ages. And said that it's going to be Judgment Day. And it's going to be AJ's Judgment Day. And AJ's judgment is sealed. And they did this promo where Edge was in the very dark room, and he looked like Colonel Sanders with the very shaped beard. But his hair, he also kind of wearing like a Hugh Hefner suit, where it kind of looked like a lounge jacket. But I'm actually enjoying the new Edge. I like the new Edge. I want to see where it goes from his work rate, though, like how it affects his work. AJ Styles, he was just wearing a regular gray t-shirt. He looked like his perm was actually freshly done just for this. Somebody, I don't know if it's a perm, I don't know if it's a hot comb, I don't know what they got going on with AJ Styles here, but it's absolutely perfectly pressed every time. Every time. And he admits that Edge has got into his head, but says that it just made him focus. And that if Edge wants the pit bull, he's going to get more than that. Because he's going to give Edge a beating he's never going to forget. I think this match is basically just leaning on the names. You're leaning on the names here. You don't have to put too much story on it, but they did give you some. Edge is as a jerk. He's a shithead now. So I'm really excited for Edge and AJ Styles, man. There's a lot of stuff to get excited about on this show. They're spread out over 2 shows. Obviously, if you could have put together one major show, there would have been a lot of stuff that would have been cut off the show. But that's not how you build a show. And we'll talk more about that later, but you can't just have, nobody has ever put together a super card that's just big match after big match after big match, back to back to back to back. It just doesn't work that way. The Usos and RK Bro ended the disqualification when the Street Profits interfered. They essentially turned the Street Profits heel, and they got beat up by RK Bro and embarrassed, catching RKOs, and basically just got dumped out onto the street. Because who cares about them? So that's basically Raw in a nutshell right there. But to talk about the WrestleMania card and the structure of the card, I agree WrestleMania probably shouldn't be 2 nights. I think it probably should be WrestleMania day, just one day, one Sunday. But you have to, I'm just looking at it, I don't mind that it's 2 nights, because you do get a nice little mixture of, and instead of getting one long show that people complain about, you can get 2 long shows that people complain about. Well, I don't think they'll both be 4 hours apiece. I think they'll probably be 3 hours, not counting the pre-show, because why would you count the pre-show? So I think there'll probably be 3 hours of some change apiece, which, won't be too bad. Ultimately, I could do without 4-hour WrestleManias. I prefer when WrestleMania was 2 hours and 2.5 hours, maybe 3 solidly. That would be good enough for me. But a solid 2-3 hour pay-per-views is fine with me. The reason they can get away with this is because the money is set. They don't really have to concern themselves too much with buy rates. It's all about watch time. And if they can create more content to get people to watch, they're going to do it. That's what they're doing now. They're monetizing the content. That's why the pre-show went from being 1 hour or 30 minutes. See, back in the day when I was a kid, the free-for-all was 30 minutes. You got 30 minutes to watch whatever match is about to play. The match probably going to be 10 minutes, by the way. But from when the time this thing starts, WrestleMania starts in 30 minutes. So get it together. Get your shit together. You got 30 minutes. Then it went to, we're trying to be faux ESPN. It's going to be an hour. Now WrestleMania is 2 hours. Well, the pre-show is 2 hours. Well, why do you think that is? Well, clearly because they're trying to sell commercial space. So the pre-show, which everybody can skip, is where they're going to start doing all their commercials and everything. Because there's still going to be commercials in WrestleMania, believe it or not. Because they're going to put space in there for advertising. So if you got the the regular Peacock, which means you're not paying for it, and you try to go back and watch these WrestleManias and stuff like this, there are going to be commercials implanted in there. Rightfully so, because that's how they monetize the content. So that's why these events are getting longer and longer. But they don't need to be. I'm okay with WrestleMania being 2 days if the shows are short, instead of having one 5-hour gauntlet that I have to sit through. I don't want to do that. I would rather it be 2 nights. I've enjoyed the 2-night format thus far, even though it has caused a lot of confusion, as I don't remember which day a match is going to be on. Like, they're changing the format too much. Like, they already got rid of the numbers. So now you go back into the deck and try to find the number of the event. I think they stopped using numbers at WrestleMania 30. So 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, up to 36. 36 stands out because it's the Pandemic Mania. But all the other ones, they kind of run together for me. Because it all just says WrestleMania. There's no fucking numbers. So they're changing it too much. And they're diluting the brand, obviously, by WrestleMania Raw, WrestleMania SmackDown, WrestleMania Backlash. And just slapping WrestleMania on everything. But I don't mind it being 2 nights. I just want them to feel like separate shows. And I want the shows to matter and to have matches on them that matter. And I think that if you give some of the big matches some space, it actually works out. Because they have what is essentially 3 main events on both nights. You have Seth Rollins' match. It's going to be one of the main events on night 1. Becky Lynch and Bianca Belair. And then you have Ronda Rousey and Charlotte. And you probably have Amos and Lashley on that card. And then on Sunday, you got Edge and AJ Styles. And you got Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns. So you got space for your big matches. You're not trying to jam all that stuff together. You got matches with emotional weight to them. So if the thing doesn't go the way that you want it to go, you got time to take a breather and come back and be all right, rather than, one long show where, something horrible happens and it pretty much derails the entire show. You can always come back tomorrow and fix it. So that's kind of how I'm looking at it, but I'm not thrilled about the whole WrestleMania being 2 days thing. I just try to look at it from the perspective of there's a lot of unnecessary stuff going on in WWE because they're stretching the content so thin. And WrestleMania being 2 days is just another one of those things. Them having 2 4-hour pre-shows or whatever, I'm never going to watch the pre-show. I don't care how long it is. You can make the pre-show 6 hours if you want to. I'm not going to watch it. That's beyond the fact. Oh yeah, programming note. If you're still listening at this point, it's okay to do a programming note. I probably won't be able to do NXT Stand and Deliver until Monday, April the 4th, which is actually my birthday. Now, the reason why that is I have to work this weekend, and I get off work at 7:30. So that means I'll be just getting into the house by the time WrestleMania starts. So, and then I have to get up and go back. So I have to watch WrestleMania, do a review, then go to bed, get up, go to work, come back, watch WrestleMania again, do another review. And then I have to watch NXT Stand and Deliver that Monday afternoon, probably. So, then the Super Card of Honor, I may do that. I may fucking skip SmackDown and Rampage altogether, depending on what happens on SmackDown. I may skip SmackDown too. I'm definitely skipping Rampage. It's not going to work out. I may do Super Card of Honor. If I watch it, if I do, I probably have to watch it on the Monday that I watched NXT. So that's pretty much what I'm looking at in terms of recording, but I'm going to let everything, all the chips fall where they may, as far as what's going to happen on Rampage, what's happening on Supercard of Honor. I do definitely want to see FTR versus the Briscoes, though. I definitely want to see that. So those are the programming notes and my thoughts on WrestleMania being 2 hours and whatever. Of course, there's going to be tons of filler because WrestleMania always has filler in it. All WWE shows have filler, and it's there for a reason, So I was also asked, and I figure since I'm only doing one video, which is going to be the Raw review, to do a little tag along segment as I talk about the Oscars. Now, I don't watch the Oscars. I've never been into the Oscars. I've never been into the Grammys. I've never been into that stuff. But what do I think about Will Smith smacking Chris Rock? And some people have asked me, do I even think that it's real? Yes, I do think it's real. And the reason why I think it's real is because of the way it went, how awkward it was. That's what makes me think that it was real. So the scene, the setup is that Chris Rock was making jokes. He talks about can't wait for the next G.I. Jane movie starring Jada Pinkett because she's bald now. Apparently she's got alopecia. I don't know. I didn't know anything about that. Don't know if Chris Rock knew that. So it looked like Will Smith was laughing. And then Jada Pinkett got upset because he made fun of her bald head. Will Smith jumped up on stage and then just smacked Chris Rock in front of God and everybody. And Chris Rock took it and basically was like, whoa. Then Will Smith told him, keep my wife's name out your fucking mouth. I was like, oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. It's the Wild Wild West. Obviously Will Smith is throwing a cuck tantrum. There's nothing quite like beta male rage. And Will Smith definitely has some beta male rage. And look, Chris Rock is a fool for letting it happen. You don't let a guy get that close to you. You just don't. I know Will Smith got long arms, but you don't let a guy walk up on you. And security and everybody just kind of let Will Smith just walk up on him. And that's really what makes it feel like it's real to me. Because everybody was kind of like, oh, he's just walking up there. What's going on? He's going to whisper something to him or whatever. He just smacked the shit out of him. And I was like, oh, baby. It was funny. Will Smith, of course, apologized and he started weeping and crying because his wife was offended and upset. And I'm like, oh God, you should have dumped that broad years ago. It wasn't too long ago where she was talking about her entanglements with some young R&B singer. And you was sitting at this talk show looking like a fucking fool in front of your parents and everybody. And now you up here smacking Chris Rock over her. You're like, come on, man. That beta male rage is something else, dog. That shit gonna have him skinning puppies. He need to get away from that broad. He need to get away from her as quickly as possible. This is Hollywood problems, man. It's Hollywood problems. I'm not going to condone what Will Smith did. I also don't condemn it. There are times where you do defend your wife, in physical form. There are some times where a dude is so disrespectful that you do have to hit him, or you feel like you need to hit him. I'm not sure this was one of those times. I think that they probably were better off if they just got up and left and, talked to Chris Rock about it later. Instead of embarrassing themselves and their children in front of everybody. I don't think Will Smith got any cool points out of smacking Chris Rock. Chris Rock's not a tough guy. Chris Rock's not a thug or anybody tough. He was super professional. He took the smack and kept moving. I don't condone or condemn the slap. I obviously don't like Will Smith. His beta male rage is really off-putting. I don't really like Chris Rock either, though. I never thought Chris Rock was funny. I like Everybody Hates Chris because that was actually a funny show, but I'm not really a fan of Chris Rock. I wanted to smack Chris Rock for a couple of bad jokes he's done in the past. So I feel Will Smith's pain. Having to sit there for 3 hours listening to Chris Rock or whatever the fuck, I'd have smacked that fool too. What the hell? I don't want to listen to Chris Rock. For what? You know, it's got to be like getting a root canal with no anesthesia. Fuck Chris Rock. So he smacked him. What else is new? I'm pretty sure it's not the first time Chris Rock has been smacked for something that he said. If you're a comedian, a guy with a big mouth, yeah, it probably happens to you quite a bit. But I just wanted to tack that on for people who still listening. But let me know what you guys think about Monday Night Raw, WrestleMania, and all this kind of stuff. And I'll talk to you guys later.